weird angle, but I guess it is what it is. I didn't bring my little doodad out here, tripod to make stuff look fancy. So, if you want the message, I guess you'll have to do. Um, right? I'm gonna go ahead and do animal oracle pull just because the full moon is tomorrow, and I took my dog to the bark park at lunchtime, and she was extra barky. So full moon, right on schedule. Like, yep, that's exactly what People are, why is the dog barking? Why is it? Well, dogs bark. That's just kind of what they do. If your dog wasn't barking, then maybe you might want to look into that. You know, maybe your dog doesn't care if they rob the house blind. Is that your kind of dog? They're just like, whatever. I have a watchdog though, so she's a barky sort. I would say if you're not much for barking animals, such as dogs, get a cat. They're a lot quieter. Dogs aren't your thing. Or fish. You know, birds are very talkative though, as is the first card. Owls, nocturnal animals. You might see some owls out in the full moon. They might be out there hunting, right? Uh, Hunting those mice running out of the field. Three blind mice. They won't be blind when the moon's out. Giraffe, visionary, rise above earthly matters. Yes, staying on your focus. So, again, a lot of times with the full moon, there's agitation, there's extra things that happen, such as barking dogs. Okay? It's like, you gonna play poker? No, we don't play poker on this channel. This is a energy reading, tarot, and oracle channel. So, you know. Puffin, partnership. Accept yourself and your colorful personality. Feel confident about being you. You are a joy bringer. Let your community nourish and protect you. Ask for help. Teamwork will give you the best results. Okay? So, collective, if you feel like lately you have been on a solo journey, be rest assured, Spirit is with you, the universe is with you, as well as there are other folks that are on your vibe. You just may not have run into them yet, okay? So again, sometimes around the full moon, people, you can get extra emotional, like, that kind of, whatever. And just know that the more you hold on to your vision and your goals, then the rest is just going to fall by the wayside. I do want to give a shout out to one of my college roomies celebrating her birthday this weekend. She's also an educator as well, so shout out to those educators molding the minds of tomorrow. Some folks don't want to admit it, but us in the tarot community are doing the same thing, are we not? Okay, just from more of a spiritual standpoint. You know what I mean? We don't have to follow all those government teaching plans and things of that nature, right? All right, I am going to go ahead and do some light worker cards for this full moon as well. So in case you are, for some reason, getting kind of caught up in the hubbub of, vibes, these messages should give you something else to focus on, okay? If you're having trouble meditating, okay? First card, take a break, a life's work, not a season. Get off the treadmill, just as my friend who's likely going to be celebrating her birthday this weekend, right? Take time to celebrate that you've made it this far. I see a lot of messages sometimes that are like, stop wasting time, act now, and it's almost gets that kind of like where the collective's not moving fast enough, but sometimes you're moving just the speed that you're supposed to be moving. And part of the reason for that is so that you don't get caught up in situations that you don't end up wanting to be in. For a business prospect I had some communication over the last few days, and then, um, you know, my expectation versus when they were available, it was like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? Sometimes, I'm glad I didn't make any deposits, or you know what I mean, things of that nature, and get anything signed, because it might have dragged out a lot longer than I wanted to, right? Um, but yet it's in flux, right? So things will be completed on the timeline that they're supposed to be completed on, is part of what I want to say. Okay. um you know so and collective, things like, especially creative projects, maybe you're writing a novel, things of that nature. you know Maybe it's going to be one great novel, and that's going to be your novel, right? There's people that write 5, 10 novels. That doesn't mean they're all good. They might be popular and sell a lot of copies, right? Okay. Some of these classic, literary, folks that we study about or read, you know, in our lives. I mean, sometimes they didn't necessarily write a bunch of, like, well, what's the sequel to your best ever, right? That was it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that, know when to say when. And I'm not saying don't have goals and keep progressing and things of that nature, but give yourself a realistic expectation as well, especially if you're only one person, and especially if you have been on the kind of this solo journey, because some of these folks that are achieving like these big, huge things, they have teams of people helping them. They have drivers, they have chefs. Even some of these authors and architects of days gone by and artists of days gone by, they were with a spouse who took care of them, paid all their bills essentially. I mean, those relationships exist in this world. I'm not saying those were the healthiest relationships. I'm not saying those people had the happiest lives either. Just realize what you're comparing yourself to, okay? Especially when you get out in this world of, well, they're further along than me, you know. Um, you know, Part of it's the learning process, right? So, and part of your learning process may be like, accepting that, like, yes, I have put in my effort, I have put in my time. It's okay for me to take a break from X, Y, and Z for right now. Maybe you are switching careers, and people are like, oh, well, why aren't you doing this anymore, you were so good at it, blah, 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 right? But maybe it wasn't bringing you joy. You're allowed to switch direction, okay? And for some of you, that might just mean you just need a little break. For some of you, you might realize that that break needs to be more than just a break, right? But you're not going to get there until you take that little baby step, and say, maybe this is, maybe you have weekends off, Saturday and Sunday off. It's like, okay, this is supposed to be on my weekend. I'm actually going to treat it like a weekend, right? I'm not going to treat it like I have to get this closet cleaned, and then I have to do the regular chores, and then la 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 la. No, no. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about tearing up the schedule. No reminding the kids about their homework neither. I mean, can you do it? Right? That almost becomes a challenge, right? I can't relax until everything's organized. Right? You ever see that video of the mom like furiously cleaning before the company comes over, and then she's like, "Don't touch anything." Right? Guess what? People live in your house. Yeah, people live in your house. You ever been in somebody else's house before? I mean, sometimes, I'm just saying, okay? Sometimes just. And again, the competition Olympics, especially when you're in a work environment, people be like, what do you have going on this weekend? Blah, blah. And you're like, oh, I don't know, whatever. And, and then they're like, yeah, we got this and this and this and this and this. You know, sometimes after a while you're like, man, am I not busy enough? But, you know, busy at doing what? Saying hi to so and so that you've seen 15,000 times before, that you're about ready to say hi like this for a while. You know what I mean? Like I ran into this dude over the weekend. Over the weekend, I know I'm acquaintances with his brother. He doesn't know me, you know what I mean, kind of thing. And but I happened to see that his brother, the other, you know, whatever. And I was like, hey, I saw your brother when he was working at such and such. And he's like, oh, how does he know you? And I was like, I'm just, you know, bar people. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you're just in that mix, in that whatever, you know, that's happening. Um, yeah. Okay. And it's like, you know, you don't need to go into long stories, right? Maybe you just need to say hello, and then keep it moving, right? It's you can still be a part of it without, oh, you know, if I'm not there at that store, you know, it's just gonna fall all apart because blah blah blah, right? You know. Message held for review. Yeah, I'm taking a break from worrying about trolls on the channel mostly. I like to read your comments though, you know what I mean? But sometimes it gets a little trolly out there, you know, what can you do? Yeah, exactly. The age of light. You've been training for this for lifetimes. Okay. So whatever your vision is, even if you know you haven't communicated it to other people, like that's fine. They might not understand your vision. Okay. When Ezekiel saw the wheel, it was shown to Ezekiel, not to the townspeople. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. You know what I mean? So when you're in kind of like visionary land, that's the perfect time to drop all the details, right? Of the how are you going to get there? How are you going to pay for it? Blah blah. Well, you know, those are all just strategies and common tasks that people will do every day that can be worked out, right? So sometimes it's like, how would you even know that you had to do that unless you had the end goal already? Now who's thinking, right? People will, why didn't you didn't think about this yet? It's like, well, of course not, because you had to figure out where was the finish line at. If you don't know where the finish line is at, then how are you going to draw yourself a map? Doesn't sound so much like rocket science anymore, does it? It's more like you know, vanilla ice. If you got a problem, yo, I'll solve it. Yeah. Check out my hook. Check out the hook, motherfucker, while the DJ revolves it. Mm-hmm. Exactly. You know, why aren't you doing this? You'd be such a. Why aren't you doing this? You'd be. You know, everybody's got an opinion on what you're supposed to be doing, right? Well, what's your opinion about what you're supposed to be doing? You know? Okay. Pillar of light. Your vibration is rising. You are the oracle. Yeah. So again, stop looking at other people for the answer when you already have the answer in here. Right? Now, once you realize that, then it's time to start thinking, okay, now how can I act upon it? Right? Now how can I pull the trigger on what I need to be doing? Okay? But realize as well that, you know, maybe that's because you weren't around the right people. You know, that you might not be doing certain things because of certain environments and people. that you're around, okay? That could require a change as well, right? Initiation, rite of passage, crossing the threshold. Yeah. So you might be entering a period of meditation or more deep meditation. Anyway, to kind of get yourself solidified on your ideas, your goals, and your direction. Okay. And realize that that in itself is an actionable step that you're taking, right? Just saying we're gonna turn off the TV because I'm not listening to this right now, and I need to focus on what I need to focus on, right? But you like background noise. Maybe you turn on the radio instead. I am not from India. I'm from the United States, although I have traveled to India once before for work. Well, I thought I was going to give you guys some romance angels. Apparently, I will do the Spirit Halloween deck, though, which is a bit of the karmic deck. So, if you are dealing with some karmic energies again, like these, outside disturbances, remember about the light that you have within you. Okay, that you're curating, that you are putting your efforts into, and other folks are going to do what they're going to do, and part of that is maybe even criticizing you, right? Look at the politicians out there. There's not a politician alive that hasn't been criticized by someone, right? Some of that, it just is what it is. Okay. All right, first card out, please, for the collective. So again, this taking a break might be like taking a break from certain social groups or social expectations. Yeah. Strength, Leo. All right. So yeah, I feel like you are definitely going to be very persistent in whatever it is that you're doing. And sometimes it takes strength to walk away, right? Maybe, some people, they retire from their, athletic career at the peak of their game, right? Um, don't you think those folks want to go out and do one more? You know what I mean? A lot of them do it. It's tough. It's tough, but it takes strength. It takes wisdom, right? And realizing that, one more time down the road might be on a hamster wheel, not just a training treadmill. When it says get off the treadmill. Like, yes, we need to have a certain number of steps a day, but do we need to be going through the gauntlet every time? Or can we just maybe this time walk down the path unbothered, unfettered, right? Unfettered by, what's going on this, hey, it's meant to be, right? So for some of you, it could be like a strengthening of faith as well. Okay, again, of that divine timing, of knowing that not only is your time now, but it's coming as well. Okay. Yeah. Two of Wands, Cyclops. Okay. So yeah, you may still have that laser focus about what you've been working towards. Okay. You may be working on this with somebody else. I feel like here, collective, but if you're not, that may change. Okay. And again, if nobody else has pointed it out to you so far, congrats on how far you've come, right? When the sun comes out, we're allowed to smile and say, hey, thanks, Thanks. You know, it's allowed. Yeah. You're not here to live somebody else's drama. You're not here to live somebody else's struggle. You're here to live your own drama and struggle. Okay? Sometimes when you're talking with people and it's like they never want to talk about you and what you have going on, but they'll talk about everything that everybody else has going on, and at a certain point, it is just exhausting. And you're just like, okay, well, that's how I felt like when I was doing my job this week, right? Like putting all your time into that, and now it's like, okay, now you get to put your time into you, right? Don't feel guilty for that. Don't 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 should yourself out of your time that you earned because somebody else wants to talk about something else that has nothing to do with you. It really doesn't. Okay. Yeah. Capricorn, El Diablo energy. It's this whataboutism type stuff where it's like you can do that all day. Or we can sit here and enjoy each other. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I would just kind of, it's almost like this is like one of those, like, doesn't this look like one of those in the commercials, the flying insect commercial, where they're gonna get zapped by the raid or something? It's kind of like that. Just make sure you have some wasp spray or whatever. And when some of these people come around with their whatevers, that's kind of what you're gonna have to do in a situation. Now, I'm not saying go and spray somebody with wasp spray. Oh, if they're attacking you, though, I mean, well, you know, what's legal in your state your mileage may vary. Let's do one more. Let's do one more card for the collective. Oh, I do not speak any Hindi. Don't be on here encouraging violence. That's what I said. I wouldn't encourage that. But, if somebody comes at you, what are you going to do? You going to learn how to box, learn how to fight, or are you just going to keep taking it? From who? Literal demons. Because guess what? Once you even stand up to one of these demons, some of them, they're going to be running away before you even have to think about throwing a punch. Okay? Because they are not prepared the same way that you are, collective. They're just not. They don't have the mental fortitude. They don't have the physical fortitude. They don't have the emotional fortitude. They don't have the spiritual fortitude that you do. Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, I feel like they're feeling this a little bit too, collective, and that's why it's kind of like you might get some gremlins thrown at you, is what I want to say. But, you're going to have to treat that like any other part of your job, right? Like when you go into work that day and it's like you have all this planned out, right? And then all of a sudden, customer calls in, they're mad about this, and then your boss needs you in the office about this. You know what I mean? It's just gonna be part of it where it's like it's not gonna stop you, but just be prepared. I don't want you to, walk around naive thinking just because then nothing bad is ever gonna, or confrontational is ever gonna happen. No. There will be people that will continuously try and test you. Just because you're doing something that they are not willing or possibly unable to do. Right? Alrighty. Well, I think that's about all I have time for. The chat's getting a little extra lively. As you can see, the full moon vibe is definitely popping out. The last few days, the chat has been kind of hopping. So please do like the video. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video. Okay, until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye bye.